the first major cause of weight gain around the belly in women is insulin resistance. And that's actually way more common than you probably would expect. Insulin is our storing hormone, and when we become resistant to it, it means that our body is no longer responding very well to insulin. And because of this, it starts pumping out more and more of it. This can leave the body constantly in that state of storing mode rather than utilizing fat as fuel. Now, women specifically have a few times in life where it's actually really common to experience insulin resistance. The first is during pregnancy. This is actually an inherent part of pregnancy that tends to happen regardless of what you're eating during your pregnancy. Now, normally, and what should happen is that this insulin resistance goes away after pregnancy. But what I've seen with a lot of women and a lot of my clients is that it tends to stick around after pregnancy, likely because of a lot of the dietary habits that were formed during pregnancy. And this can lead to a lot more difficulties losing weight or even continued weight gain. And the second most common time is after menopause. Just like with pregnancy, after menopause, insulin resistance tends to go up. In fact, just simply aging for everyone can cause insulin resistance to go up. And the state of hyperinsulinemia, which just means high blood levels of insulin, is specifically tied to weight gain around the belly. And I always hear clients say that they haven't changed anything that they've eaten, their exercise routine, nothing, but they're experiencing sudden weight gain or even a slight weight gain year after year, which is even further evidence to some level of insulin resistance, especially if nothing else has changed. And with this in mind, it does not mean that it's going to be impossible to achieve a weight loss goal. However, it is important to approach the weight loss process with the knowledge that insulin is playing a key role. And focusing on foods that don't greatly stimulate insulin's release, like high quality proteins and high quality fats and low starchy vegetables, is absolutely key. In fact, you can check out this video for some super simple recipe ideas that follow these guidelines. Which, if you're new here, my name's Autumn and I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's in nutrition human performance. And today's video is actually sponsored by my favorite matcha company, The Reserve. More on them in a bit. Let's jump straight into that second major cause of weight gain around the belly in women, and this is from eating too much sugar. Eating sugar is one of the major drivers of insulin release within the body, which directly goes back to that concern of insulin resistance. Unfortunately, just decades of diet culture have really contributed to this mass intake of sugar. And this is because diet culture for so long was centered around the idea of low fat. And when you're removing the fat content, you have to replace it with something, and sugar is one of the main ingredients that's going to be replaced. And from what I've seen, as well as multiple studies, have found that women tend to fall the most victim to a lot of this diet culture mentality of eating a really low fat diet, which inherently is going to mean eating a lot more of those insulin spiking foods that's making it harder to achieve weight loss and wellness goals. And one huge sugar source I see so many women getting every single day are sweetened teas and sweetened coffees. Specifically, vanilla lattes and oat milk lattes tend to be the most common ones that I see. Depending on where you're getting it from, vanilla lattes can have around 30 grams of sugar in it. And depending on the brand you're using for the oat milk lattes can have anywhere between 7 to 15 grams of sugar. And what's ironic is that a pure fat source that would be used instead of sugar has essentially zero impact on our storing hormone insulin. Plus, it makes us really satiated and satisfied by increasing the satiety hormone cholecystokinin or CCK, which can just be really like mind-blowing for a lot of people and logically might take a little bit of time to wrap your head around. But this is why it's crucial to be swapping out the high sugar sweetened drinks, which is essentially just like an immediate delivery system of sugar into the body, with either unsweetened tea, unsweetened coffee, or using something like keto coffee or keto matcha latte. In fact, if I'm having matcha, I make it at home so that I can control the sugar content as well. I like to use today's sponsor, The Reserve's ceremonial grade organic matcha powder. And I love that The Reserve's matcha powder is already sugar-free, which makes it a lot easier to control the sugar content from there. In fact, I've done a video in the past where I share my own matcha latte recipe where I use The Reserve and make it completely sugar-free. You can check that out right here. The Reserve also has a ton of other additional superfood powders like maca and spirulina that you can add into your smoothies. And what's really awesome is that The Reserve is offering the AM peeps 50% off all of their products, including their ceremonial grade organic matcha powder, for the next 1 month since this video airs. That's an absolutely insane deal. So make sure you stock up and grab whatever you need to make your sugar-free matcha lattes. I'll have the link in the description down below so you guys can check that out. Okay, the third major cause of weight gain around the belly for women is snacking or grazing. As noted earlier, women tend to be the most affected by diet culture and therefore tend to most actively avoid eating fats. Fat has zero impact on that storing hormone insulin, but what it does do is that it greatly increases satiety, or that sensation of fullness between meals. And when you feel full and satisfied, it also makes it so that the body doesn't require to snack or graze in between meals. And this is really important for achieving a weight loss goal because every time we eat, it causes the body to secrete that storing hormone insulin, which means that you never really really allow insulin levels to dip back down in between meals, the way that you would allow it if you had more of a meal structure without snacking. And remember, those higher levels of insulin or hyperinsulinemia is what has been directly associated to weight gain around the belly. This is why incorporating fats, having enough of the high quality proteins to keep you satiated, as well as possibly using strategies like intermittent fasting, but definitely using a meal strategy versus grazing, is so important for achieving a long-lasting weight loss goal. In fact, just like with fat, it's so important to be getting enough protein to help prevent snacking. So I created a super short video to help you calculate your protein needs, which you can check out right here. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love this science-backed information, make sure you subscribe right here. Come out with new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.